So we are moving forward in time because, like I said, the only place we can move is forward, right? You can't go backward in time, right? And if somebody try to travel here, if somebody try to travel your soul backward in time, there is no defending of wrongs that happened 500 years ago, right? If somebody try to travel here back in time, there is no defending on the wrongs that take place 4 years ago, right? That's just how life works. Everybody had to account for their own deeds, right? So we moving forward in time, right? If you feel like you were traveling back in time, forward in time, and we're moving back to the present, as I was saying, right? So we're talking about COVID and all the surrounding issues, distraction issues that came about, or real issues, as the case might be, that came around surrounding all those incidents. So we're talking about from COVID to the George Floyd thing to all them things, situations, Black Lives Matter, everything, right? Whether those situations was agenda related or if it actually was born out of real issues or if it was because a lot of things were circulating that certain things were based on agendas and based on distractions, right? So is whether is a what the COVID if the COVID situation in fact was a distraction or if the Black Lives Matter movement thing that come about jump out of the blue, if that was born out of anything that actually did take place to warrant that, right? Or if it had whatever had happened. So this is what people are trying to unearth to find out, to get to the truth of all those matters, right? Resolve all those matters, right? So as I was saying, right, I do not have to prove that I'm not racist, right? I don't have to prove anything about that, right? Let me just say, all right, so this video channel is about everybody knowing my true thoughts about life, my true thoughts about people, my true thoughts about everything. That's what my whole this whole YouTube channel is about: authentic thought, right? Authentic thought, right? My authentic thoughts, right? A full record of my authentic thoughts regarding situations, social issues, psychological issues, spiritual issues, right, in life, right? So referring to, and I give my thoughts about COVID long time now. Nobody should be forced, right, to put anything into the body without their consent. Nobody should be forced to lose their job, right, because they don't take a vaccine, right? That is my full stop, right? And nothing more, less or more about that, right? Um, right. So moving forward in time now, right? Black Lives Matter movement, right? So like I was saying to myself, as you all know, I have to before I go to the next complete the teaching of the surah that I'm teaching currently, right? I have to declare certain things, which is my thought, right? So what was my thought at the time, right? My thought at the time, as I was talking to myself, right, some night ago, right? At the time, my thought regarding our Black Lives Matter movement was, hey, well, we already had progress. How much ever years, generations after colonialism, British colonialism and slavery, right? Moving forward and identify all these things. And I just wanted to move forward in time, right? I like I was saying, I don't like to be trapped in a race conversation or the ethnic conversation, right? And I like my thought about a matter in 2020, right? This is 2020 thought, right? Listen, I don't want to be trapped in that in a reality of colonialism forever, right? I hate that. I hate being trapped or feeling trapped, right, in a reality of British slavery and British indentation forever, right? That's how I feel about that issue, right? So 2020, I was liberating myself, right? Freeing myself, freeing my thought, right? Because we talk about this thing, plantation society in school, sociology degree, masters, all these things. So I didn't go on to do my PhD, as I was saying, because I do not like being trapped in a singular reality for long, right? I don't like that feeling of being trapped, right, in a one reality. Meaning that I prefer thought that's more expansive, right? I prefer thought process that's more expansive, right? And so, hey, the being trapped in that consciousness or that reality, right? So I want people to understand my thought process here, right? I don't like having to keep going back, and this is where my problem is, right? And this is where the people of the world problem is, right? So I'm trying to come out of this reality, this consciousness, right? There's an agenda that has, and this is what's sickening at the end of the day, because it's all boiling back to this too, right? it all boiling down to this white around the world reality, and this is sickening part of it, because regardless of if you try to come out of it, it's sending you back into that reality, because that's the reality that exists, right? And that's the disturbing part about it to me, right? Because even as I try to come out of that reality, right, is the same people, right, who run in the show try to pull me back in that reality. So I'm making it known, hey, I am not a racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body to any ethnicity, naturally, right? So I've been trying to come out of that reality of what a this whole colonialism, sociology, Caribbean sociology thing, right? And as I try to come out of that now, right? Because I actually fight the Black Lives Matter movement, because it was, to me, it was like an agenda at the time, right? It was like an agenda at the time, and I actually fight that movement, right? Well, on my social media and all those things, right? And then whites now trap me back into that reality where in that divisive reality where I had to fight them, right? And when I fight them, they're not repatriated. So this is the trappy thing about it, and that's why these people are so fucking trappy, right? This is why white people and elite whites are so fucking trappy. They do not want you to, and this is why. This is why this thing like will never end, because we are trying to come out of that cycle, right? And as blacks and browns are trying to come out of that cycle of that race talk and that race conversation, is the same white people, right, who trying to pull you back and trap you into the race conversation, because they know that is how they're keeping you down, right? And this is the mind fuckery. This is psychological mind fuckery that these people are on, right? Let me explain this again. As blacks and browns try to evolve out of out of the colonial talk and the colonial conversation, the same people, and you are actually in favor of, hey, let me move forward, and let me move forward, let black, white, brown all together move forward, right? The same people, right, who you are saying, hey, we are in favor of you all moving forward, right? We are in favor, hey, we will step up and say, all right, we forgive whites, right? We will say, hey, let we just all move forward and forget the issues of the past, and let we, even though they might repatriate nothing, we go forgive them and let we move forward together, right? Even though black and browns, right, because they never get help, they never get a repatriation, nothing, right? But they still choose to forgive and say, hey, let me move forward. Same whites, right, will take it upon themselves and trap you back into that divisive reality and still don't repatriate. So in a sense, they're running the show, and black and brown people still eternally trapped. The trapping of souls, right? So what is the solution, and how do we, right? We meaning black, brown, Muslims, everybody. How it is are we going to come out of our situation now, right? Because there's a reality that they always trapping us, and even if we try to come out of it, right? So I don't understand, right? I don't know what it is they want. Wait is all they want. Wait is the want. Is it that they want eternal slaves? Is it that wait is the want, right? Because every time, hey, I say, hey, let me come out of this reality, right? Let me come out of this. All right, they call it. There's referred to it as the Black Consciousness Movement and so on, right? But that's the beside the point. I'm not even talking about that, right? I talking about the study, the study plantation society, study in a plantation society, and those kind of things. That I want to come out of that, of Caribbean sociology, right? Theory, right? And the minute you try to come out of that, is white people self who trapping you back into that reality, because they want you trapped into that reality. So who do you actually turn to come out of that then, right? Because then that had to be a complete inward work, right? And that's why I advocated for at this point, right? A complete. When I say complete, I mean a complete internal work, right? Because there's nobody who could help you, right, to come out of that except yourself. There is no one, right? There is no one to help you come out of that except beside yourself, because when you're really cut into no race, no black, no brown, no white, no Chinese, no nothing, right? Because anytime you looking to step out of some kind of box, right, the same consciousness people that run in the entire earth, right? Trying to grasp you and pull you back in, right? You're creating a condition, right, for just you to be trapped in that circumstance. And it's the same power consciousness that running the earth. Okay, so hey, because I fight the Black Lives Matter movement now, because I was like, hey, I really want to step out of this. White people now, come on, for 2 years now, right, sing song and in my head, look how dirty my heart is for blacks, right? And that is not the case. I always with black people is that I am fighting a movement, right? That I'm fighting a movement, right? I am always with like say Africa, blacks, whoever, right? But I'm fighting that movement because saying it have a bigger issue of freedom that we dealing with, right? It have a bigger issue of freedom, right? Freedom, consciousness, freedom, whatever that we dealing with in 2020, a larger issue, and a larger issue is freedom for all of humanity, right? Making a choice based on freedom for all of humanity, right? And I don't want to be trapped in a race talk, right? I don't want to be trapped in a race talk right now, right? That was my goal. That was my thought process in 2020, right? Now, in order whites see I come out of our zone now, right? Like I said, the minute these people see you come out of that zone, that why they, who all they think wanted me to be trapped doing my PhD in UE? Not black and brown people, you know. Black and brown people don't want me trapped and doing my PhD in UE, you know. Is white people, right, who actually, that's their organization, right? Is white people who want to see you trapped, doing your PhDs, fighting up, spending your life, and when you come out that you ain't even getting paid, you ain't even getting no money in the end, right? You are a fighter for a job still, with a PhD, with a PhD, right? There's my problem with the system, with this, with the earth, there's my problem with the earth, right? That there are different consciousness energies, right, that want you to be trapped in a particular box, right? And the minute you actually climb out, escape that box, oh, nah, head cage you, head cage you, right? You are deserve to come out of that box, just head cage you. You too low energy, low frequency to come out of that box because your color, because your skin color, whatever, right? And you just trap she in that cage. You just head cage she, right? That is the thinking of these people who run in earth, who run in reality, all these things, right? So this is my problem, right? With this system, the system is actually not the government system, not the healthcare, not the nothing, you know. The system is earth. Earth is the system, right? That's the system, and this is my problem with earth, right? Stupidity, right? That's my problem with earth, stupidity. That the fact that there are people on earth that want to trap you the minute you climb out of their box. I don't want to trap nobody. I here to trap people. I here to liberate people, not to trap people, right? So if you climb out of a box, right, that is to you. That's on you. That's to you, right? My intention is never to trap anybody, but I here to liberate people, right? So you, hey, that was it, and it's sad to see, right? It's sad to see that I try to come out of a race talk, right? And the minute that white people see me try to come out of a race talk, you push me back into that race talk just to see me fight up like a Hunger Game society, right? Like a Hunger Game society, because I try to come out of that race talk, and whites, elite whites, like Hunger Games, right? You love Hunger Games. If you're not disgusted, I was when I see that whole series, you are like Hunger Games. You like to see people fight up. It brings you joy, right? It brings you happiness. It brings you pleasure to see people on the ground suffering and fighting up for one or two things, right? And you just ha ha, right? Let them fight, right? And that is the conversation I come out from in 2020, right? Only, right, for a little head cage and trap me back into that bullshit why I not taking that, right? Because like I say, I not on them kind of thing, right? Because it's not all whites who doing that, right? It's a particular group of whites. I know it's not all whites that think like that. And that one I would never think of any ethnic group as an hey, all is this, all is that, right? Because a particular group of whites, right, that doing that, right? The seeing black and brown people escape, and the same thing. Like that's why I was with Candace Owens, right, in that whole scene, right? I looked at a lot of her contents and the people who she recommended to read books and stuff, right? In terms of black people actually coming out of the plantation society mindset, right? And then what they do, right? They look to trap back, right? Looking to trap back those type of blacks, right, into that plantation society zone, right? Brown and blacks, right? And we don't like that, right? We don't like that. And who doing that is actually the white people again. And this is a problem. This is a problem because always boil down to all your fuckery. It is always had to boil down to all your fuckery. And that's the problem. I understand why people say, hey, when I talk, I hear a couple talk, right, from people in the UAE and thing, right? And there was like, hey, well, it's really until racism is eliminated, then you could solve the problems of the world, right? So COVID even or that issue of freedom actually becomes negligible, right? So I don't know if in that case I was supposed to actually help to fight with the Black Lives Matter movement at that time, right? But here I am. I'm thinking, hey, the COVID situation is a more advanced level of thinking with regard to freedom for all of humanity, right? That was my thought, right? So I preferred in that case, right? My choice was what was to fight for a my rights and your rights, right? So my thought zone in that time and was say I want to fight for your rights and my rights because we have human rights and that human rights is bigger, right? Or should be bigger than race rights because in human rights, race rights included, right? But these people now, because that thought process is so expansive, right? Whites see now, hey, they look to inject, hey, because we and blacks included, all of us, regardless of race, color, ethnicity, COVID situation or something that unite thinking people across the board because that black, brown, yellow, every color, right? White, black, brown, every color fighting for human rights, right? So then, oh, white people now come and try to throw back in their face. Hey, let me try Black Lives Matter thing. Let me divide again. Let me do some shit again. Let me do some shit again, right? And this is why I hate this whole situation and everything unfolding after that, right? Because that COVID situation did actually unite everybody, or in a certain zone then, right? I think a certain way, hey, I have a black friend who had the same thought process about COVID. Hey, I have a Muslim friend. All of we have and then hey, the white people now see, hey, but they're uniting over this issue. Now I do talk to my Muslim friend much. Right now I do where my black friend, right, who are united over this, right? Where my Indian friend who are united over this, he end up dead, right? So this is how I'm showing you, right? We are showing you, I am showing people, right? How this very small group of on top, right? Very manipulated, systematic, right? In a way that they manipulate and genocide people, manipulate and genocide our people and keep people in a state of trapped consciousness and suffering, right? Good.